Well, it's rainy, soggy, and sucky today in Southern California, but that doesn't mean we can't get up to some trouble today. We're back in the gloom and the rain on a very interesting mission. Because this is cold, soggy, relentless rain for this whole week in Southern California, I thought we'd do a series of mini missions rather than just sitting at home and waiting out the rain. I want to talk to you about Oceanic Arts, a legendary tiki and tropical supply decor company that outfitted nearly every legendary tiki bar you could think of, but also helped to design and furnish many of the elements for the Polynesian Hotel at Walt Disney World. And one of the two owners of that legendary business, my friend Leroy Schmaltz, was also a master tiki carver who carved many, if not most, of the Adventureland gate masks. So those masks as you enter Adventureland at Disneyland, going all the way back to the 1950s, all the way up through the pandemic, Oceanic Arts was the place to outfit anything tiki related ever. It was the most legendary, amazing warehouse in Southern California. It unfortunately had to close down after the pandemic. The two owners, Bob Van Oosting and Leroy Schmaltz, were getting on in years. And in fact, since then, they have both passed away. So another couple of friends I've lost in the past years. And if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, then you'll remember we've had many adventures in Oceanic Arts, many adventures when they were closing down Oceanic Arts, and many adventures after they closed Oceanic Arts at the warehouse sales, where they were clearing out the warehouse to close down and sell the building. Personally, I'm very pleased that I was able to make it to most of those warehouse sales and help the family promote them. My garage is now full of weird treasures that I picked up from the warehouse. I had a great time at those sales, like meeting people and talking about our old friend Leroy, who by then had passed away. And I know it was amazing for Bob Van Oosting as well, who was the other half of the business, just to get to see, you know, how much people loved and appreciated them and wanted to come buy a little wrench or a little box or a strip of bamboo or whatever it was, and swap stories and just tell him how much they appreciated the business. It was just an amazing time. Well, it turns out that that's not all there is to say about Oceanic Arts and its legendary founders, which is why right now we're returning to Whittier, California in the rain. I'm going to tell you about something very exciting coming up. We're going to have a very special guest, and I'm going to show you some awesome stuff. But first, gotta make a stop. Dude, this water is out of control. It's up over the curbs. Getting a lot of flash flood warnings on my phone too. Not a big fan of that. I'm from Southern California. What is this water from the sky? Whoa! These waves are mine. I know it's impossible to show how hard it's raining on a camera, like it just doesn't come across, but this would be hard rain even in Florida or Kansas. It's a lot of water. It's supposed to calm down in a second, which is good because we're almost there. There it is right there. The final Oceanic Arts location. This is where they were located till the end, and the whole time that I was friends with Bob and Leroy. And I just want to say, I was friends with Bob. He was a very good friend to me, and he was absolutely essential to this business. I do not want to downplay Bob's role in it at all. Oh my gosh, look how wet my leg got just from opening the window for 2 seconds. But this is a Leroy day. Leroy was the master tiki carver and the kind of head artist, the lead creative designer for Oceanic Arts. At the end, when they closed this place up, there was a massive event held here, which was very cool, called Aloha OA, so a big party while Leroy and Bob were still alive, and a massive auction with most of the super rare, super valuable items. Peekaboo Gallery did a really good job of just setting up the event, making the auction just splendid looking, offering all that stuff to the public. It was fantastic. I wasn't bidding in that auction. It was a little above my reach. I did pick up a lot of odds and ends from the warehouse sale, and as cool as a lot of those odds and ends were, I kept wondering to myself, you know, I wonder what happened to a lot of Leroy's stuff, his tools, his chisels, some of his artwork and things. His family did a little bit of an art sale here before the end, but I often wondered to myself, you know, nearly 70 years in business, Leroy collected a lot of treasures. I wonder whatever happened to that stuff. That is what we're going to discuss today. We're now leaving the site of the old Oceanic Arts. It now houses a couple of different businesses, and heading off to what for now is a secret location, because Leroy's family is putting together something Incredible. Dude, seriously? Oh, the rain just lightened up. This is the lighter torrent coming down the street. Jeez Louise. Sure, the rain calms down now that we're about to go inside. We've arrived at the secret location, and this is the Leroy Schmaltz collection all set up for a big sale. Look at this. We're in a secret location in Whittier, in Leroy's secret lair, as a matter of fact. And all of what you see here belonged to the master tiki carver and phenomenally prolific artist himself. And not only do we have Leroy's stuff, we've got Leroy's son, my old pal, Chris Schmaltz. What's going on, Chris?
Hey, you know what's going on.
This is a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff. We have so much stuff. My dad kept everything, and we need to get it into the hands of people who are going to love it. So we're having a big sale. Right now it's in an undisclosed secret bunker, and we've laid things out as well as we can. There's about half of it out already. We have a whole lot more that's going to be spread out into an outdoor area as well. But right now inside we've got this stuff. So take a look.
And this isn't like just Oceanic Arts stuff, although I see some of that in here. This is all your dad's like personal collection of stuff, random stuff that he made. There's so much here to look at. There's a little bit of everything in here. There's paintings, classic Leroy Schmaltz tiki carvings, tablecloth, decorations, authentic artifacts from his trips through the South Seas, birds, nautical nonsense in every direction. And we are very lucky to be invited in by the Schmaltz family while they're still setting all this up to take a little sneak peek at what's coming up. Now, the sale is going on, what, March
6th, 7th, and 8th.
6th, 7th, and 8th. So the same weekend as Adam the Woo's Memorial. If you're out here for that, you can come to Whittier. We're going to post the address closer to the event.
Yes, we will.
So you're going to post it on Instagram. I'm going to post it on Instagram. And I'll leave all those links in the description so they're easy to find so you guys don't have to remember anything.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday's going to be 2 to 5, and the other days are going to be in the morning. So.
Okay, awesome. So right away you see a lot of awesome nautical stuff. You have legit artifacts they picked up over the years. You've got some floats down here, things that Leroy created, things that he collected. Look at pulleys, crosses, rope. And here's one of those little miniature buildings. Your dad made that, right?
He made hundreds of miniature buildings, and we have them. We have hundreds of miniature buildings.
So this isn't the only one. We're going to see more. That's amazing. You got tiki mugs down here.
We have crates, boxes, bins full of tiki mugs. My dad got tiki mugs every year for Christmas from all of his kids. He collected them over the years. We have so many tiki mugs.
So there will be dozens and dozens and dozens of tiki mugs.
We got tiki mugs still in their boxes that came from people that made tiki mugs and sent him tiki mugs. So we have tiki mugs.
This is incredible. We got glass, we got wooden whales. There's all kinds of weird corbels and wood floats and amazing pieces of mid-century artwork. I see some of Leroy's chainsaws hiding in here, crab traps, lobster traps. Okay, so look at this. We found a crab with a mirror inside. You don't think your dad made that?
No.
That's just something he got from somewhere. But look at this jug float back here. There's all these starfish. Now, did some of these come from your grandparents?
Yes, my grandparents owned a shell shop in Venice Beach, and so they had tourist shell items that they would sell.
We're talking like almost 100 years ago, or maybe 80 years ago.
Might even be 1,000 years ago.
But then your dad made this, so that's another example of Leroy's miniature buildings. This honestly looks like something he made.
It is.
He made his own duck right there. The keep out sign is classic Leroy. What about that piece? That's amazing.
That was a headboard.
Really?
From a hotel.
So he designed that probably and carved that? That's incredible. The amount of stuff he said. We're just looking at one shelf. So look at this. There's amazing, huge pieces of tablecloth.
I think this one was on the wall behind my parents' bed for many years.
Really?
Beautiful, beautiful tablecloth. Yes.
So some of that might be stuff he picked up in the 60s when he was doing his travels and all that?
Definitely.
Oh my God. But they traveled frequently when they were installing stuff around the world.
They traveled all over the place to pick up items, to check things out. There's a lot of travel logs from their trips to Mexico where they'd pick up all kinds of things, anything and everything.
That's the thing. Leroy didn't just like carve things or create things for around the world theming. He was a world traveler. Look at that. There's a freaking porthole down here. Hooks and pulleys, tablecloth. There's so many boats. I don't even know do you know what this is? It looks like a giant clamp.
This is a giant.
It's just a huge, giant wooden clamp. Who knows where he even got that thing from? He could have used that on huge tikis. We have no way of knowing.
These items always hung in our house. I believe they were things that he picked up early on his travels to the South Seas before they even started their business.
That's so cool.
Heirlooms.
Yeah, because they had the display case in Oceanic Arts with some of them.
Some of those, yeah.
But he had some in his own house.
Yeah.
I can remember coming over here because of your sister and being in bands and all that stuff, and coming over here like 25 years ago, and then somebody got out the photo album of that trip that they took to New Guinea and everywhere, and my mind was just blown. Like, I was no longer interested in your sister's band. I was like, tell me about your dad. What the heck? And look at the size of that tapa cloth, right? There's like huge pieces of that stuff, which is increasingly rare, especially if it's vintage and real. And then tell me about these, because this is like a really interesting story you told me when I first got here.
So early on, you know, in their business, they had a lot of random items that they would sell. This was brought to you by Cargoes by Carter.
And Mr. Carter's the guy they worked for when they first started and started doing stuff at Disneyland and everything else.
And these items later became sold as Chia Pets and were on television. But prior to that, they were just mid-century pieces. And these have been sitting in our yard, many of them just broken, but just sticking places in our yard because my dad never got rid of anything.
But he's got those from the original Cargoes by Carter.
Leaves.
That's incredible.
Yeah, these are original Cargoes by Carter pieces right there.
I love that. I love that it has a weird, I mean, kind of a cousin-like Disneyland connection in a way and everything. But that's a piece of tiki history, even though they're llamas. How about that? And then there's all kinds of weird mid-century wooden artifacts down here. And then there's also some of your mom's stuff in here, because I see some turtles down there.
My mom collected turtles. Well, I mean, she probably said she liked turtles, and then everybody would get her turtles. Constantly get her turtles, as you know. But look at that thing.
That is so cool. There's a whole series of these like mid-century minimalistic modern turtles. How about that? There's also some stuff in here that's going to absolutely blow your mind if you're an Oceanic Arts fan. So hang in there. We're just going shelf by shelf. Okay, so first up, I just want to pause and admire these crazy like recycled metal and wooden fish that Leroy made, because there's several of these hanging here. There's a big whale. I've seen the whales before at Oceanic Arts. There was a few of them. But look at these crazy recycled fish. I love that. Your dad made like folk art pieces, fine art pieces, tiki pieces.
These are all ceiling tiles from old buildings.
So, oh, really? So these are like old tin roofs?
Old tin roofs.
That's amazing. And then this big giant photo up there. What's that from?
Night of the Tikis, a big exhibition for that book that came out that Shag and my father had pieces in. So.
That's so cool. Yeah. Okay, so then back here on this shelf, all of these birds, all of these kooky, crazy, wacky, each one of a kind birds, these are all carved by Leroy. But I don't remember ever seeing these at Oceanic Arts. So a lot of this stuff is just stuff that he just made, right? Out of scraps for fun?
That's right.
That was just here?
So when he would have scrap wood at the shop after making Oceanic Arts stuff, he would use those scraps to make a lot of different things. Folk art, fun art. These were kind of tropical, and he made hundreds and hundreds of them.
Speaking of Leroy's handicrafts, look at these weapons right here. Look at this bludgeon with some very sharp wooden implements, and then he created his own. That's an actual piece of stone.
Yeah, it is.
That's a stone axe, or a mallet, or whatever. So what are these from?
A lot of times he would just make fun pieces like this and give it to his grandchildren.
Everybody wants their kids.
Why wouldn't you want
Thanks, Grandpa. I want to stick with it. He can fight the Demogorgon with that thing.
I was a caveman for Halloween one year, and I know he made me a few of these.
Oh, that's right. And Leroy was like legendary for Halloween. Your whole family is legendary for Halloween and going like crazy.
Schmaltz's, yeah.
So he would create stuff.
He would create stuff for that, and then we would decorate outside. And our yard was so full of things that we didn't have to buy anything. We just brought things out according to the theme. If it's zombie, we have it. If it's Dracula, we have it. If it's Western, we have it. Polynesian, we had it.
And this is amazing. Look at this shelf, continuing down the shelf. Look at the Jolly Roger sign down here. I think that's so cool that is still around. And then look at all these corbels, like carved. Did he make all of these?
He made all of these. These were actually on our house.
Really?
Yeah. With Jolly Roger, there are a lot of restaurants, when they went out of business, my dad would go there and try to get his old carvings back.
Really?
Yeah.
So he'd be like, I want my work back, please.
Yeah. Sometimes they'd buy them. Sometimes he'd just get there late at night with a screwdriver.
I still drive through Southern California, but especially in Whittier itself, and I still see all these signs that he carved, like random welcome to Whittier signs and business signs. And some of them I look at and go, oh, that was Leroy. I could just tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
But look at these. So he carved this. Look at that. Amazing. I've seen some Norse carvings of Leroy's that were really good too. Look at that whale right there in that classic style. And then again, I think I see some of your mom's turtles down here mixed in with what looks like some Polynesian artifacts.
That's right.
Dude, look at this. Another gigantic vintage piece of tapa cloth. I don't want to mess with the arrangement here. You guys have done an amazing job like setting up, because you're an artist yourself. And you and your lovely wife go around and do a lot of vintage shows and do the great junk hunt and stuff like that. So you're very talented. Your whole family is talented at like getting show ready, because this looks good. And you're not even close to done, right?
We're not even close to done. No, we've got so much stuff.
Okay, some big ticket items, another big, huge carved whale down there, and one of the coolest New Guinea masks from Oceanic Arts, that classic mask they use all over the Polynesian Resort and Trader Sam's and everywhere else. One of them is here. There's a whole bunch of little relics and remnants of all the wood carving from over the years, including some Polynesian pieces. But I think these, Chris, are gorgeous. You knew that was coming, right?
My dad would get on like a kick, and he would just start pumping out a whole lot of the same items. So there was a few years where gourds were something he was into making. I mean, this one's got like decoupage material on it and painted, and of course he'd get his Dremel tools out and work for hours on these things. He would glue rope to them. I mean, it's just amazing the amount of talent.
Yeah, just this is crazy. But then he was like, oh, well, what would it be like if we just hand carved a whole bunch of... The thing I loved and admired so much about Leroy is that he could look at anything and figure out how to make it a piece of art or to make it itself an art piece. And so in that spirit, you got a couple more of the miniature buildings here, the Old West buildings. If you look at the back of them, I mean, they're pretty intricate back there, all made out of scraps and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
He made a lot of things that look old Western, boaty, ghost town kind of looking stuff. So we have a lot of those artifacts around here. In fact, some of the paintings, I think.
And not a lot of that went through Oceanic Arts. It's just stuff that he made himself. But then there's these. This is the best thing ever. The pigs! And before we got started, you told me he made like dozens and dozens of pigs?
I think there was a time where he probably made 100 pigs.
Just to give to people?
To give to people. To give, to sell. They did all kinds of little events and sold things. But yeah, this is the kind of fun craft folk art type of thing.
See, that's the thing. People go on and on about like Claude Monet and like the Lily Pond or this or that, the haystacks or whatever, you know, and he would do like 12 of them or something. Leroy would make 100 pigs. He was like the most prolific artist I've ever heard of in my life. And even though he's pretty famous because of the Tiki connection, I feel like he's still like this weird underground, unknown folk art. He had that attitude too. Like, well, I'm actually a real artist. I'm actually kind of a rebel over here. He's like, I like the Tiki thing, but man, I'm a rebel.
Yeah, he was a rebel.
He was a legend. And your mom was so sweet too. She always worried, if she was here now, she'd be trying to feed us in the middle of filming this. Okay, what do we got here?
We have some of my dad's shirts. So if you are extra large or a little larger. You know, some people actually make pillowcases out of these, but these are Leroy Schmaltz tropical shirts. Because
so these are his actual shirts.
When he would leave the shop and take off his torn T-shirts,
and
if he had to do something where he needed to look respectable, he'd throw on one of these. So they're probably all been worn once.
That's amazing. But yeah, if he did Tiki Marketplace or something, he'd probably wear one of these bad boys. That is so cool. And then a whole bunch of records and books, and I've got a bunch of books that I bought at the warehouse sale from his office and stuff, but apparently he had a whole lot more at home. Look at that, Tales from the South Seas, African art. The thing that struck me about him, having gone through like his magazine collection and stuff at the warehouse sale, he was into like every kind of art, every kind of primitive art, every kind of modern art, just anything. He'd like scribble in the margins and stuff, so if you get one of these books, you might find some marginalia from Leroy Schmaltz. Look at this. So much for the tiki lover, but also look at the totem poles there. Don't forget Leroy carved the totem poles, the original ones at Epcot.
Yeah, like this right here.
Oh yeah, look at that. This is so cool and so neat. So this is a Leroy Schmaltz t-shirt.
This is Leroy Schmaltz t-shirt. This piece of art right here, there's 4 different tikis painted on pieces of cardboard that my father and I painted together for a luau that I put on in the early 90s. And I have the art at home, but we made t-shirts out of it.
That is so cool. I love that. I love that story. And then even behind us right there while we're standing there, look at these amazing, strange, you could see this anywhere. You could see this as like a tiki piece almost. Yeah. Look at the nails. I love the nails right there. You could see it as a pinhead reference, or you can see it almost like a Native American Kachina influence kind of things. I know he loved the Southwest.
Yeah.
And then there's just stuff like this. What do you even call that?
Well, he had to have something to do with the lids from his paint cans. So
that's what they are?
But incorporate it into art. Yes.
That is amazing.
And there's quite a few paint can lid pieces of art around here.
Well, I remember in his workshop just like piles of old pencils, piles of old paint cans. Look at that. That's why he saved them. He's going to make art. Oh yeah, here's another guy right here. Yeah, and so where were these? Because I never saw these anywhere.
These were in our backyard.
Literally.
Just hanging out.
That's incredible. Let us have a family picnic in sight of these guys. I love them. They're so kind of strange and mysterious. They could be from anywhere, first from another time and space, because they're from the weird, strange, amazing mind of Leroy Schmaltz. Okay, now we're moving into some stuff that's going to blow your minds. First of all, I love this. We were talking about this with some of your siblings earlier about what that style was, like his best style. I know he loved Picasso, and I know he loved a lot of what was modern, very modern art when he was growing up and becoming an artist. But what do you even call that? That's just classic Leroy.
It's classic Leroy. And he would incorporate Cubism, which was something that he was into back in the early days, and he incorporated that into a lot of his modern art.
That's just incredible. Okay.
And this was actually in this Night of the Tiki exhibition as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That piece of artwork? And so you have some of those books here?
It's not in the book, but it was at the exhibition.
Oh, gotcha.
But this piece was in the book. All right, so
this
it's
one
right there.
Here.
There it is.
Oh, you've got it. You've got the book set up here.
Got the book set up.
So there's all kinds of famous art pieces from Leroy. We're getting ahead of ourselves over here. Look at all these books. I love this. Growing Up in New Guinea, Aku Aku. There's so many cool pieces. I'm sure Chris Nichols gave them that because obviously they're mentioned having worked on Disneyland. Really? Oh, by the authors?
By the authors, yeah.
And then this is cool. You've even got his National Geographic Society membership certificate. The Book of Tiki by Sven Kirsten is here. And then look at all this stuff. This is just amazing. A lot of Polynesian ephemera and artifacts and kind of Polynesian pop stuff. Look at, I've never seen this. This is like a little plush tiki guy, plush hula girls. Some of this stuff looks pretty old.
It's old.
You're talking about vintage tiki stuff.
We're talking vintage.
And speaking of which, look at that. So right underneath that painting that we just showed you a second ago, and there's some more amazing artwork over here. I just like to highlight this stuff. I know everybody wants the tikis. I know they're like, that's the money beats. But I really loved Leroy's art style. I mean, he was just a phenomenal painter, phenomenal sketch artist. So I just really quickly look at some of the art on the walls over here. And there's more. There's going to be a lot more to look at. But look at all different kinds of styles. I have some woodblock prints of his that I bought when you guys did the art sale.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of those here. A lot of woodblock prints.
But this is what people want to see. They want to see these. What the heck are these?
Cute little pigs.
Is that what they are?
Yeah. One year, my dad gave everybody a pig for Christmas. So, cousins, aunts, uncles, all of his kids got a pig. They were probably full of candy for Christmas.
Look at that. They're like weird carved pig bowls right there. Oh, that's an ancient lighter right there. Probably from an old tiki restaurant. Because look at that.
Yeah.
With the kind of Asian looking writing on there. And then look at these. That's incredible. So you have candles, you got menahunes back there, all kinds of weird tiki. This is probably a table lamp, right?
Yeah.
That's why they've got those on there. And these, a lot of times when they would work on restaurants, I know that when the restaurant would close down or the tiki bar would close down, a lot of times they'd call them and ask if they wanted the stuff, or they'd go buy the stuff back because they would sell it on to the next place or whatever. So some of these are artifacts from probably from some of the most famous tiki bars that have ever existed. And then look at this again. All this stuff. A lot of this is the stuff he personally collected or that people would give him.
This is very odd.
It's amazing.
A squirrel with snake skin glued to it. Why? Why? We don't know why.
Did he make that, you think?
I think he made this when he was young, and he made this turtle when he was younger, and this turtle.
So we're seeing ancient Leroy artwork here.
This is probably an early piece.
That is so cool. So he just never threw anything away, which is your burden, but our benefit.
That's right.
Okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
Do you know where this is from? Because I'm wondering if that's from SeaWorld, because I know they built a whole bunch of Kodak booths at Lion Country Safari, SeaWorld, and all these different places.
So Kodak was, a big customer of theirs, but this may have come from a camera shop downtown Whittier
Oh, really?
that closed down.
And I know they also did those too. They would do those little camera huts, and sometimes there'd be themed ones, and they have carved stuff. And they would also do just regular sign work for people and stuff.
And he made a lot of the stores in Whittier. He would make a cool little sign. So there was for Monty's cameras. I think he made a sign for the hardware store uptown Whittier. He made signs.
I remember they had one from the Polynesian Hotel, and he said there was some sort of blemish or something was wrong, and they got to keep it in the shop forever. So I just love that he would keep stuff like that. Okay.
It's stamped Oceanic Arts on the bottom. Never seen one.
So that was just a pattern for what? For like a little door pull,
You
a
tell
cabinet
me. I
thing?
don't know.
A product they never made?
Something that they sold because it says Oceanic Arts.
Well, and those marks on it are to put on a spindle to copy carve it.
There we go.
So there's an ancient Oceanic Arts product we can't identify. Maybe some expert will let us know in the comments. Look at all the salt shakers and all the little spears. I like this. This is totally unrelated to tiki kind of. But look at this monk. Maybe he's a missionary. He's going to convert the mugs. Oh, this is so cool too. These little
nuts.
The little nut guys. I've got some of those. And then look at the ashtrays.
These are some of the first things that they sold at OA. These
little necklaces. Yeah, what they had like a little card that said like Good Mana necklace or something like that. Like very corny, cool 1950s stuff. I know they would do those palm frond carvings back then too with some of the earliest stuff. So you have stuff from all different eras. Look at these owls. That's incredible. And then what are these?
Well, these are actually pictures from their trip.
What?
Yeah.
And those are going to be in the sale?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Because we have a lot more than these.
I can also see a lot of the little Swizzlers here from all kinds of places. This is still blowing my mind though. I just want people to understand, if you ever got to read the book about Oceanic Arts, then you know, or watch my original video with Bob and Leroy or any interview, they did a big trip to the South Sea Islands and to New Guinea and all these places and met with traditional carvers and learned a lot of stuff about how to make their decor more authentic and everything else. Back in a time where nobody was doing stuff like that. It wasn't very easy in, 1960 whatever to hop on a plane and just get to all of these various islands. So these are a big deal. Ooh, there's another Kodak sign hiding back there. I love this Poppycock Hawaii can. Look at all this.
The carving on this, it's not my dad's. It's something that he picked up. But just look at the amazing.
And some of this stuff's so old, it would have had to be hand carved by somebody.
Yeah.
And look at the little shell for the eye. That is so cool. All right, and then there's some more really cool, actually, real quick, creative artwork from Leroy here, including a Polynesian turtle. But underneath, this is the stuff that's going to blow your mind. This is the stuff that you can have a sale of without any of the rest. Behold, Tiki fans, products from Oceanic Arts itself. This was the good stuff. This was the stuff in all the tiki huts, the fine stuff, the stuff that was finely polished and sanded. You see some of the unfinished pieces here, some of the finished pieces all done and waxed. This is stuff from Oceanic Arts, right?
Yeah, that we scoured the shop, and this is just a cache of new old stock that was never, most of it never sanded, never torched, sanded, wire brushed, stained, waxed. It's just in its natural form, and we have it here.
So some of it was unfinished, and then the finished stuff would have been the last stock.
The last stock
that was on the shelves. So if someone wants to come to this Leroy Schmaltz collection sale, or that's a tentative title. We haven't worked out the... Chris, you had a way longer title with like 14 words. Collection, art, sale. You can pick up literally some of the last stock that was ever at Oceanic Arts, which is amazing. There's Bob's favorite piece right there. I haven't seen one of these for years and years. Some of this stuff, I know they would produce in batches, and it would go missing for years and years, and then all of a sudden you'd come back and there'd just be a barrel full of these things. But look at that piece right there. And some of this stuff goes way, way back to, and it's been used... I mean, you were saying one of them's a door pull for the golden tiki to get inside right now, the handles. Wow, look at that. And then a lot of these have been table lamps. They have been just used for every kind of weird purpose you can imagine in hotels, tiki bars, theme parks. Look at this. And then look at this hiding in there. Speaking of new old stock, you've got tiki mugs in their boxes. Oh, that's an Oceanic Arts tiki mug.
That's right. 2006.
Oh, that is cool.
So usually tiki mug runs, my dad would get a couple of runs for his own purposes and give them out to kids, friends, and family. So we have a lot of that stuff left over.
That is amazing. That's some rare stuff right there. And I can see more over here.
More.
Look at that. And so a lot of this stuff you guys are still going through. You're still pulling out.
Probably 15, 20 boxes.
Man.
Tiki mugs.
And still having to price and figure out how all this stuff is going to work. So don't reach out and bother the Schmaltzes before they're ready. The sale is March
6th, 7th, and 8th.
6th, 7th, 8th. Okay, I wanted to say 5th by 6, 7, 8. Just remember that. March 6th, 7th, and 8th. Come down and get yourself a piece of Oceanic Arts history. Yes.
We're going to have to postpone the sale. So if it's
okay, because there's an outdoor there's a whole huge, you can't see, but behind this wall, a huge outdoor portion. Actually, so it's worth mentioning. We're only looking today at, like, what did you say, 50% maybe of the stuff. And even now, looking at 50%, you can see a lot of stuff is still in boxes and is not yet put out and spread out. And
there's no more room in here to lay this stuff out. It's going to be going outside with the rest of the stuff.
The rain is cramped our style a little bit today. But look at this, there's just drawers full of stuff, books. There's layers of stuff. Look at this old mail right here. Look at that. 2 Leroy Schmaltz from Pan American.
Look, it's got his name on the calendar.
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah.
That's so weird. I wonder if that was for The Office. That's just so crazy.
They all have his name on them, so it's kind of fun.
And I love that he just brought them home eventually. He's like, I never use these. Let me just bring home my Leroy E. Schmaltz calendars from, what is that, 1978? 78.
76, 77. Hey, buy the whole set.
If you really love the 70s, come get Leroy Schmaltz's 70s calendars. And I love this too, like, because we're skipping over so many things, but there's like vintage trays, TV trays down here. There's art pieces that your dad did that are just amazing on recycled wood. There's weird carpets, there's weird plates, there's weird shutters. There's a lot of weirdness in here. And if you want to see some really weird stuff, you got to see Leroy's crazy... What do you call that kind of art?
Those are assemblages.
Assemblages.
Loved to make assemblages.
And look at that. So a lot of it, a lot of this, particularly the piece you see up here, you see a lot of crosses, you see a lot of religious themes. Leroy was a very kind, humble, devout man. But I like this piece right here, which I saw in the art show.
Yeah, it's super fun.
That thing is like, he could have made amazing marionettes. The guy was super talented and super... he was quiet and so normal and gruff. Like, work with his hands, be covered with splinters, and he just looked like a manly man with a beard and everything. But obviously in his brain, he was this crazy, wacky, free-spirited, talented artist interested in like all kinds of human cultures and every kind of expression of artwork. Oh, there's a butt up there. No! He was just an amazing artist. I feel like one of the most prolific and certainly my favorite artists of the 20th century and still somewhat undiscovered. So come get an art piece. Okay, just real quick before we move on. Some of the you haven't gone through some of this stuff yet, but I'm just noticing, look at these vintage Tahiti torches in the packaging. That is so cool. All right, Chris, and now lay it on us, the table.
Yeah, one thing we discovered is box after box after box after box after box ad infinitum of paper, ephemera of every sort. We have right here. I mean, this box is full of little sketches that my dad made of lamps for jobs, and pieces from OA that he kept, and Disney pieces, and little sketches of how to hang a cargo net filled with wonderful items.
Oh my gosh.
I went there as a kid. The Tiki's, an amazing place. My favorite place to go because they had a bathroom, and in the bathroom was a frog pond, and you just stood and went to the bathroom into the pond.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, the place, the Tiki's, is like one of the most legendary, almost like a Polynesian pop tiki theme park.
Yep.
I never had the pleasure of going there because it closed, I mean, decades and decades and decades. You went there as a kid.
I went there as a kid. There was gorilla running around. They had swan boats, and of course the bathroom that you just loved to go.
They had like lava cave bars, and like, look at this huge dinner show. So this stuff by itself is super rare. But then look at this. That's the OA logo, and your dad obviously drew that, but for what?
Well, there's a lot of pieces where he was coming up with brochures and the like, and he would just sketch it out first, a little thumb sketch, and he kept everything.
That's just amazing. Yeah, I can see right here. Look at this. The Return to Elegance wood carving by Oceanic Arts. Ooh. And then you told me these are book plates that they would put in their reference library books.
Yep.
So Oceanic Arts book plates. There's some of those Cargos by Carter Llama originals. Right there. So, and the early notepads, the brown notepads.
And the Island's senior citizen discount card for Leroy Schmaltz.
Filled out with his name and everything.
Awesome.
And he carved a lot of the stuff that's in all those Island's restaurants.
In fact, that bird right there would have been one of the ones that came from the restaurant.
Like, look at this. Look at this little Leroy Schmaltz pen sketch of a tiki mask that, for all we know, he carved and went somewhere. And then all the weird scribbling and handwriting on the back. It's just incredible. Like, you don't get this from Monet. You don't get this from anyone. What's this leather book?
It looks a little boring, but this is the Book of Tiki, Sven's Book of Tiki.
Really?
Prior to printing. That's right.
So this is like a proof copy or something, like an author's proof or something.
Publisher.
Wow. So this is like a prospectus. That's incredible.
Before it actually ever came out.
Yeah, that's almost like a sales pitch for the Book of Tiki, which launched the whole Book of Tiki, or the whole Tiki revival, the whole Tiki craze. Right. So that right there is a piece of history. And that's Leroy's personal copy. And then look at this. More sketches. I can only imagine what's in these rolls back here. Some vintage art and Tiki ephemera. I can see so much stuff that's like rare and unusual. What the heck is this? Look at this Disneyland guest pass right here. Your passport to a soundsational summer. I like that. Okay, there's more boxes here.
These are seashells.
So those are the ones you think are from your grandparents, right?
They definitely are from my grandparents. We put them back into these boxes, but we had crate after crate of seashells. My grandparents had that cute little seashell shop in Venice Beach, and they're just full to the brim of seashells from the 1950s and before.
Well, what's crazy is then Eli Headley and all those guys that were outfitting and decorating the original Dawn of the Beachcomber and places like that probably would have gone there to get shells from that shop before even your dad was carving tikis or doing any of that.
Possibly.
I mean, if you needed some seashells to decorate your 1920s, 30s, 40s, whatever, your classic old Polynesian Wave 1 restaurant, you would have to go there.
Go there, and they made all kinds of cute little critters out of seashells that would on the bottom say "Welcome to Venice Beach, California."
So it ran in the family.
It was little tour. Yeah.
And you're an artist too.
Yeah.
I want to shout that out because I know you're not going to talk about yourself, but you do a lot of artwork, and I'll put a link down to your guys' Instagram too because you also do a lot of selling of artwork and vintage pieces and upcycled stuff and
new stuff.
Yeah, I'm impressed by Chris as well. It's not just his dad. We passed right by these. Look at these huge carved posts.
These were part of our home, actually.
So these are the ones that were outside on the patio?
These were the patio.
Oh my gosh. Because I can remember coming here years ago and just being, my mind being blown by that. By there just being like everything was carved, everything was painted, everything was something.
Carved a lot of things around the home.
That is so cool. And now they can be yours. Leroy's personal Polynesian posts. Ah, look at this.
Or paint can art.
We're getting into all the artwork here, and you're just going to see they're all amazing, and they're all in different styles. Like, the impressive part to me is each piece has got its own character, and he just worked in so many kind of genres, and yet everything I look at that he did, I know it's a Leroy. Like, I can just tell. Look at this, somebody's 90th birthday party going on over here.
This hung in our living room as I was growing up, a pile of shoes that my dad painted.
He painted that and then hung it up in the living room?
Yeah.
While you were a kid?
Yeah, for sure.
That is
like this tennis shoe there.
That is so cool. That's like one of the neatest parts of this sale and of this collection, is that a lot of this stuff he created and just kept it for himself or put it up in his own house because he enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah,
that's the really neat thing, you know. It's not something he made because he thought, oh, someone's going to buy this or whatever. It's just he wanted to create whatever the heck that is that we're looking at. And this is all weird. It's like all pieces of masonite board or just random stuff.
Mostly love to make things on found items. All right, so
it's folk art.
Cardboard. He had a lot of things on cardboard. This is cork right here. Anything that he could find and repurpose, he would do it.
I just think that's amazing. We're getting into the recesses here where it's harder to show you everything. It's hard to get back far enough. But look at some of these amazing carvings. Again, upcycled, not upcycled. What's the word I'm looking for here? Recycled.
I don't know what word you're looking for, Justin.
Junk turned into treasure. That's what I'm looking for. And look at easels over here and just weird, strange. Like some of this stuff, when you guys revealed some of it at those art shows, my mind was blown. Like, what in the
what is this?
Yeah, what is that?
It's amazing.
It's so unusual and strange. I know he did a lot of pieces that were inspired by Frankenstein. Maybe that's one of them. There, I can remember that. And then look at all these little hands. This is all one art piece here with all these little carved crosses and hands and little bands, like the way you do it for arrows or something. Just like that. That's insane. That's the kind of thing you'd see hanging in a coffee shop and they'd want $1 million for. And Leroy was just making that stuff, just put it in the garage or whatever. Awesome. Some of these are most of them are very three-dimensional. Like this one is carved as well as painted, and there's like little found objects and nails and beads stuck in it. I mean, this is just really cool, unusual stuff. And we're kind of cramped in because of the rain today, so everything's kind of a little bit cramped in. When you come to the sale, I'm sure it'll be spread out a little bit more, and there'll be a lot more artwork on display that right now is all stacked up. So this is awesome, and I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this instead of, you know, there's a million ways you could have handled this, but I love that you're trying to get it into the hands of people who would appreciate it.
Yeah, in fact, at the auction that my dad made it to, we asked him how he felt about all of his stuff leaving, and he was so excited, and he said, I want it to get into the hands of people that enjoy it. And so that's what we're doing.
You're still doing it all this time later. Okay, still a little bit more stuff to see. Let's come back this way, past this crazy ladder. Some more Leroy artwork. Well, it's everywhere. It's stuffed into every corner. It's on every surface. But we got a whole other shelf here. We've got Leroy's personal sock monkey here. We've got all kinds of sea chests and treasures and birds. And then what is that?
These are
dinner menus?
Vintage dinner menus.
Wow.
Mats and lines.
Oh, look at this. Tahitian terrace menus or artwork?
Some event at Disneyland that my dad went to, that they invited him to, and they kind of showcased some of his things at Disneyland, and these are signed by this guy.
Okay.
All right.
Signed by the artist over here.
One, my mom got that one, and anybody else in the family that went, each got one as well. This was on our house because he would make all kinds of fruit and avocado related signs because he was into that, and we used to have 5 avocado trees here.
Like just for fun?
Just for fun.
So that wasn't even from a business. That was just for the heck of it.
Hey, let's make a sign, put it on the house.
And then there's like the beginning of something right there.
Something's going on there.
So somebody could take that and complete it. They could you could begin your collaboration with Leroy Schmaltz right there. And I can see there's bins underneath. There's artwork just everywhere. There's all kinds of boxes of wooden stuff. We got piles and piles of like woodblock printmaking stuff. But look at also like old school nautical decor, some of Leroy's tools, tiki mugs galore. I don't even know if that's a hat, part of a lamp, both. The fish, the pulleys, shells, chains, jugs, jars, maps, trunks, flags. You got a little bit of everything going on.
A lot of bit of everything.
And then see what I was talking about with the artwork? stacks and stacks of some of the coolest, most amazing artwork. And it's for everyone. Like, you've got ghost towns, small towns, barns, some of it on like recycled wood. You've got pen and ink sketches. You've got all kinds of just... Was there a medium he didn't work in?
No, I mean, he worked in cardboard box.
Is that what that is?
This is cardboard. You can feel the corrugated.
That is so cool. And people spend so much time talking about outsider art and folk art. And I've gone all kinds of places where I see people who create similar type of artwork in a way. Like, you know, they'll paint on cardboard or they'll do something like that. And they'll do, you know, a piece a week, a piece every other week or something like that. Your dad was full-time decorating apartments and tiki things and bars and restaurants and carving signs, and somehow had time to come home and do all this just for the pure love of it?
I mean, how about this one right here? This was, it was a piece of art that was already done by somebody else, a print.
Like the trees or something?
It was like a river and some trees, and then he came along and turned it into like a Chernobyl event with zombies in a river.
I thought it was the Emerald City for a second, but you're right. It's like some kind of post-apocalyptic
Yes,
Emerald City. Yeah, that's like chemical plant or nuclear plant or
something's
something.
going on there.
He's making a statement.
A lot of things happening in the dark recesses of this picture.
And so he would just do that, and it would just be here or wherever, or at the house, or in a storage unit.
It was probably a Halloween, and so he's like, a couple weeks before Halloween, let me make a fun piece.
So there's stuff like that, and then stuff that would be like he'd do on his travels, obviously, because there's a whole bunch of stuff you can tell is drawn from life, and then landscapes, and then strange... I guess we're calling them assemblages. I mean, I don't know enough about art to give that its proper title. But there's a really cool picture of an abandoned gas station back there that I really like. I saw that in the art show. I love these cardboard pieces. And then look at that. Look at that old water truck, the tank truck. And then this. I just think that is gorgeous. That looks like maybe Mexico or somewhere. That is so cool. Look at that one. Signed by Leroy Schmaltz himself.
He loved old rusty trucks, so there's a lot of that around here as well.
He loved a little bit of every kind of art ever. I mean, it's just incredible. And this isn't, I mean, we already had the big Oceanic Arts auction. You had all those warehouse sales where there was a lot of your dad's stuff in there. You guys have done art shows and stuff. And so now you're really having to clean out
Yep, this is it.
a lot of other stuff. But it's amazing. That just shows how prolific that he was, that there's still so much artwork and so many weird creations and things around there. I mean, your dad was an amazing artist.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
And at this sale, you'll be able to see kind of all the different shapes and forms that his art took. So
I would pay money just to visit this as like a gallery show. It's the coolest, weirdest, most bizarre assemblage of art ever. I love it. Okay, so that's the teaser.
Right.
There's double what you've seen here that's going to be on sale. Not to mention that a lot of what you're seeing here is just the top layer of stuff because we can't go through everything. But there you go. So that's going to happen March 6th, 7th, and 8th in Whittier, California. Very near Uptown Whittier. So we'll give you the address as we get closer. You just follow me on Instagram, Justin Scard, or look down below in the description. I'll have all kinds of links, including Chris's artwork. Well, Chris and your lovely wife's business, Schmaltzland Creations, which is a very long, and we won't tell people how to spell it. They can find it in the description. Schmaltzland Creations on Instagram, and probably the Oceanic Arts Instagram. We'll also post the information as you get closer. But just plan on being near or around Whittier if the weather holds. Hold! March 6th. I keep wanting to say 5th. 6th, 7th, 8th. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's right.
And if you're in town for the Adam the Wu Memorial, that'll be happening the day before and the day before that. And if you're a tiki lover or just an art lover, I mean, look at this. I just noticed the ladder you guys are hanging stuff from. Even the ladder is customized and personalized. The last time that I went and talked to your dad before he passed away, he was in his own backyard, and I remember sitting out there, and there just being all kinds of weird everyday items like this that were somehow customized or painted and whatever. And your mom, Vivian, she was Leroy's wife, obviously. She was also an amazing artist too. So you grew up it continues. Your sisters are great artists. I mean, a lot of you guys are making art and you're creative in some kind of way. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That the legacy lives on.
Yeah, for sure. My mom and dad, they did a lot of art together in the early days.
Yeah.
In fact, some of the earlier stuff at Oceanic Arts was made by Bob's wife and my dad's wife. Together, they were making all kinds of little projects and selling them.
That's so cool. I love that. And so a lifetime of collecting and a lifetime of creating, and now bits and pieces of it can be yours. So come out here to Whittier, March 6th, 7th, and 8th. I finally got it. Come see Chris, come see the Schmaltzes, and come get some of the sickest, weirdest, coolest art and ephemera and artifacts I have ever seen assembled into one place. I can't wait to see the rest of the stuff that you're hiding from us. The good stuff is all coming out later. I know it. They're holding back some treasures. They're coming out during the sale, so come here in person. Come check it all out. That's it, Mr. Fish. See you later. Dude, that was so cool. I've known the Schmaltz family to varying degrees for, 27, 28 years. I knew Leroy for about that long. I knew his wife Vivian a little bit. She was so sweet. But I'm also just a huge fan of his artwork, of his work ethic, just how prolific of an artist he was. I've always been Team Leroy Schmaltz, and I feel honored and privileged that we got to get in there, get a little sneak peek of the sale that's going on. I'm super stoked that the family has chose to do it this way and just kind of have a sale here in Whittier. They're trying to make this it. They're trying to wrap things up. They've got to, there was a lot involved in closing down Oceanic Arts. After 70 years in business, there was a lot of stuff to clean out of the warehouse and clean out the building. That took a lot to do, and now they're dealing with all the personal stuff, all in this one sale. So if you're thinking, well, there's been a bunch of other sales before, so there'll probably be some more. No, as far as I know, as far as they know, and we're all hoping, this is it. This is the end of the road. The Leroy E. Schmaltz personal collection sale going on. So again, I just feel super honored and privileged to know the Schmaltzes and to be invited to come up and get that sneak peek. I will be here definitely the first day of the sale, maybe the second day, if I can manage to sneak away from planning the Adam DeWoo Memorial with the team that's working on that. And then the third day, Sunday, obviously is the day of the memorial, so I won't be there that day, but I'm planning on being there the first day for sure and picking up some items myself. We have lost way too many amazing creative people in the last couple of years, whether it's Imagineers, Eddie Soto, or people like my friend Adam DeWoo, or Bob and Leroy. It's been a weird road, a rough road. But in the case of Leroy, who's been creating stuff his whole life and obviously collecting stuff the whole time he's working at Oceanic Arts, so for like 70 years of collecting stuff and interesting, amazing, tiki-related artifacts and artwork and all kinds of weird items, books and personal possessions. It's cool that now that all the Oceanic Arts business stuff is done and dusted and taken care of, that we're all getting a chance to come to this sale of his personal stuff, and I just think that's really awesome. So there's our mini mission for the day. I don't know what else we're gonna do. It has been raining, as you saw earlier, and it's supposed to continue to do it all week long, so we'll see how it goes the next couple of days. I gotta tell you, I'm getting kind of itchy. Getting itchy to get out on the road a little bit here. So as soon as we can manage it, we're gonna be off on some more adventures. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me and my friends in the Schmaltz family. I will put their Instagram links down below so you can get the sale information once it's posted. They'll be up here in Uptown Whittier. So just keep it on your calendars. March 6th, 7th, and 8th. Look at that. I finally memorized it. And now we've done our duty. And I'm starving, so it's time to go home and eat well with Randomland hot sauce. Hey! Schmaltz out of the house with even more. Look at this vintage lace. That's crazy. And more tikis. So more stuff than you ever saw here is going to keep appearing. Stay tuned. These are so cool. Some of them are so freaky. Like, look at that bird. It's got a man head on it. That's the bird with the
creepy,
man.
right
That's
there.
the creepiest bird I ever did see.